We will be discussing Alzheimer's disease, its causes and symptoms, how memory deterioration is associated with the disease, and how we can see the difference between declarative and procedural memory during the span of the disease. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. This is a name for a group of symptoms caused by disorders that affect the brain. It's also a general term for memory loss and other intellectual abilities serious enough to interfere with daily life. This happens as a person gets older. The disorder affects the brain and the cortex shrivels up. The brain shrinks, causing the patient to forget things, especially newly learned information. The first part of the brain affected is the part that is associated with learning. So the first symptom could be forgetting newly learned information. If serious memory loss or confusion occurs and other major changes are obvious, it may be a sign the brain cells are failing. The most common early symptom of Alzheimer's is difficulty remembering new information. Now, here we'll explain the causes of Alzheimer's. In this picture, there's two types of brain. The top is the one that's not affected, and the bottom is the one that's damaged by Alzheimer's. The top explains that cells within the brain, neurons, transport electrical messages to other parts of the body using chemical transmitters or neurotransmitters. On the bottom picture, the damaged brain tissue is from Alzheimer's disease. The areas of the brain tissue are damaged and some messages do not transmit, causing the symptoms of the disease. So now that we know the symptoms and what causes them, we can learn a little bit more about the disease. Here is a picture of the brain, and the top is the very early stage of Alzheimer's, where you could see the blue is only affecting a little bit of the brain. Now, in a mild case, the blue spreads more. This is a more affected area. And this is a severe case where the blue goes all around the brain and the brain shrinks significantly in size, which I will show you a picture of. This happens around age 65 at an average, and patients die at an average of 8 years later. What happens is, as Alzheimer's disease progresses, neurofibrillary tangles spread throughout the brain. Plaques also spread throughout the brain, starting in the neocortex. By the final stage, damage is widespread and brain tissue has shrunk significantly. If dazed confusion is seen, that could be symptoms of old age and Alzheimer's. Here is a picture where you can see the significant change in size of the brain. Here we have a healthy brain, and here we have a shrunken brain from Alzheimer's. This is what causes the patients to die. Look at the difference of the brain, and it's clearly not healthy. Now, during Alzheimer's, the memory deterioration is significantly a big factor. What doctors tell patients to do is write lists down in little address books or notebooks of addresses, phone numbers, house numbers, everything in the house, recipes, and they tell you to label things in the house as the disease gets worse so patients don't get scared by their memory loss and they can cope with it easier. Now, there's two types of memory: declarative memory and procedural memory. Declarative memory is explicit memory, our storage of detailed information about the world and experience of it, such as a story. There's two types of declarative memory: episodic, which is experiences, and semantic, which is facts. Procedural memory is how to perform everyday tasks or procedures, and this is implicit memory. It's studied that procedural memory is better spared throughout this disease because it doesn't take as much thinking to do these or memorize these procedures. While declarative memory, it takes a while to learn them and it's harder to learn them, so it's easier to forget them throughout the disease. For Alzheimer's, treatments are available to make the disease move slower, but as of now, there is no cause. This is a brain with Alzheimer's. Now that we know that what causes the disease, the symptoms of the disease, and how the memory loss occurs, we can better understand the disease.